Howdy guys. Wanted to put together a video of all the various practice things that I like to do, the various exercises. I've got individual videos on some of these things, but I thought it would be good to kind of cover just some of the basics. I've gotten myself in a habit when I first started playing of just wanting to play tunes and playing them fast as I could and put as many ornaments as I could, and I really didn't spend enough time working on the fundamentals. So it kind of cost me a year or two before I was really actually happy with the way that the instrument sounded when I played it. So if you can start working on these fundamentals right off the bat, I think you're going to be a lot better off. So I'm just going to run through a bunch of them kind of quickly. Hopefully give you a one-stop shop here for all the different basic exercises that are worth doing. So right off the bat, the first thing is scales. D, G, and A major, E minor, B minor, A minor. Those are the keys you're going to be playing in most of all. And you want to run them in two different ways, legato and staccato for the classical types, and basically with tonguing and without. So basic D scale. Like so. There I did it with tonguing individually. I would also run them both that way and also legato without the tonguings because you're going to need to use those at different times. Do the same thing with the G scale. And again, do that legato as well. Same thing with the A scale, and keep in mind there you got that half hole in the G sharp. And then switch it up to the minor keys as well, starting you can start down low in the E minor. And again, I would run all these, both staccato and legato. Different tunes are going to call for different ornaments at different times. Same way with the tonguing. You're not always going to want to tongue each note, and sometimes you're going to want to chain a few of them together. So the B minor. And then the A minor. So always run those. Like I said, I've kind of found myself in the habit of just wanting to play tunes because playing scales isn't particularly exciting. But if you can do your best and kind of divvy up your practice time, working through the fundamentals and then working through the tunes as well, it's going to help. I found myself just sitting at the computer waiting for something to load or working on something. It's just fun to kind of just run through these real quick because it always helps, a little practice like that. Once you've done the scales like that, the next thing I would say is do the same scales but jumping the octaves each time, because that's going to help you understand the difference between the high and the low octaves, because it's easy to mess that up and that'll drive you nuts. So with the D scale, like that. Again, getting used to the amount of air that's needed for each instrument, and again, go with the G scale and keep on going. Something like that. You can just kind of run through them and go through all the scales that way, same way. Again, the main point of that is just to understand the difference between the low octave and the high octave, because it's very easy with this instrument to break the note. You kind of hear where it breaks. So if you know where that breaking point is, you can kind of get your notes a little bit more accurate. That's the main thing with that. So then once you do the scales, you can start with the basic ornaments, the tap, the cut, and the roll. So starting off, it's real simple. You can do like that. Same thing with the G scale. You just run through all of those, making sure you get good solid notes each time. With the ornaments, I would recommend trying to play them in rhythm. So you don't want to just go you want to keep it in time. Just like so. Same thing with the cut, which is to be the next ornament. There again, with the cut, you want to make it as quick as you can, but you also want to make sure that it sounds. If you're playing it too quickly and they don't sound correctly, slow it down. Someone told me a long time ago, and I unfortunately have no scientific basis to back this up, but it made sense to me at the time, that your brain remembers the last thing you do. So when you're playing scales, whether you're playing tunes, play it slowly first, then play it more up-tempo, and if you make a few mistakes, so be it, but always wrap up playing it slowly again, because your brain is going to remember that again. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but it made sense to me, and that's how I've tried to practice, and I think it's helped anyway. So then when you get to the roll, again, the key thing here is to do it in rhythm. And again, if it's too quick, slow it down. But don't play it out of rhythm like this. Something like that. You want to make sure it's in time, even if it's slower, starting in the G in this case. Like that. Always make sure that it's in time, because again, I think your brain helps to remember that when you play them correctly like that, even if it is a little slow. Nothing wrong with that, especially when you're just running through scales like that. Then you can move on to some of the more complicated stuff like the crayons. Crayons you can really only do on the D and the E just because the finger is required, but again, if you do it in rhythm. Something like that, where you're just trying to keep it in rhythm and just working those, and if you have to slow it down, slow it down. So that when you do play it up tempo, it's going to make a lot more sense. From there, what I call the triple roll. And just kind of run the scales like that. Don't really have the fingers to do it on the top notes, but you can run the bottom hand like that anyway. It's the same thing with the double taps. I kind of like to go backwards down the scale. It's just kind of how I use these more often than not. So again, practice it slowly and just make sure that they all sound correctly. And just run them slowly like that so you can make sure that each note sounds correctly. It's one of those things that I think if you can spend 30 minutes playing a tune, spend 15, 20 minutes working on fundamentals. I think it'll really help you in the long run. So hopefully you like that. If any questions, let me know, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Thanks very much.